Shalom, welcome. We are going to read Parashat Yitro. If anyone wants to raise a hand or annotate on the screen, here's how you do it. Would anyone like to get us started?
I
Who would
will.
like to read? Go ahead, Tim.
Okay. Vaishma Yitro Kohen um, Midian um, Chod, Kohen
Oh,
Choten
there you go.
Choten
Choten.
um, Moshe et
Moshe.
Moshe et Kol Shar Asa Elohim uh, Lamoshe
hmm
um, Velish, uh, Vaish, Ul Israel,
Hang on. What
Israel,
is it? There you go. Ul Israel.
Ul Israel. I'm a little nervous.
That's okay.
Amo Ko, um, uh, Ko, Ho, Kohotse,
There's a chirkyod. Ki hotzi.
oh, Kihutzi
hmm
Adonai et Israel, Mametzraim,
Good. Mind your hirik. Mi Mitzrayim.
Mi Mitzrayim.
Very good reading. Vayishma Yitro Chohen Midian חותן משה את כל אשר עשה אלוהים למשה ולישראל עמו, כי הוציא אדוני את ישראל ממצרים. Okay, Yitro is the Hebrew, or the modern Hebrew way to pronounce Jethro's name. Remember, there's no J in Hebrew. The reason we pronounce Yitro with a J is mostly because the I turned into a J in about the 1400s in was it in English or in French? I guess it was in English. Maybe it was in French too. Point is, there's no J in Hebrew. It's Yitro. And then the Tav here has no dagesh in it, so it should be a soft. Remember, Tav is a begad kafat letter, and without a dagesh, it's supposed to be a softer pronunciation, and with a dagesh, it's supposed to be a harder pronunciation. But in modern pronunciation, we don't do that anymore. In Ashkenazic pronunciation, like somebody mentioned earlier, there is still a difference. Tav without a dagesh is actually an S sound, because maybe they couldn't pronounce the TH sound. And with a dagesh, it's a T sound. In the Yemenite culture, in the Yemenite dialect, it's still a TH sound. Th. And if I'm not mistaken, I wonder if Syrian or Northern Aramaic would do the same thing. But apparently the Begad Kifat letters having a soft pronunciation came from the Arameans from the time of Daniel. All right, Vayishma. What is Shama?
Here.
Yeah, to hear, exactly. We have a Vayiktol, narrative past, and then something happened. What happened? He, the Yod tells us the built-in subject, Shama. He heard. And then he heard. Who did? Yitro. He's our subject. What's the root of Yitro's name?
Is it Yeter?
It is. So Yeter, do you want to tell us what it means or not?
At the moment I can't remember what it means.
Okay.
Extra?
Extra, something that it's like something that juts out above and beyond. The word extra is a great translation. His excessiveness. Yitro, his excessiveness. I don't know why, but this almost reminds me of like his highness, like a king almost. But anyway, he's not a king. He's a Kohen. He's a minister or a priest of Midian. Does anyone know where Midian is located?
I thought
Modern-
it was just, I
Uh,
thought it was just east
The
of the
Jordan?
North.
Modern Saudi Arabia.
Oh,
Modern Saudi Arabia. Midian. The reason that this is important is because remember when Moses saw the burning bush and he was with his father-in-law because he married his daughter and he's watching the sheep. He sees a burning bush. God says, "You will go and get my people and bring them back to this mountain." Where's Midian? Saudi Arabia. Where do we think that the Israelites wandered in the wilderness for 40 years? Egypt, the Sinai Peninsula. In fact, it's called the Sinai Peninsula because of a misunderstanding because of what is it? Constantine's mother-in-law, Helena, I think, misidentified where Mount Sinai was. Anyway, the point is, it's modern Saudi Arabia. At any rate, Hoten. Does anyone know the modern Hebrew word for getting married?
Litchaten.
Hitchaten. It's a hitpael verb, which means it's something you do with one another. And it's got the same root built in as hoten. We are father-in-lawing. Not really. We are getting to the point where we have a father-in-law, if you want to translate it something like that, to relate these two, hoten and hitchaten. Moses's father-in-law, hoten, is Yitro. There we go. And what did he hear? What did Jethro hear? Et kol asher. Wait, et is the direct object marker. So here's the direct object. Kol asher. Wait, but asher starts a relative clause. So what is it that Jethro heard? He heard all that this entire clause God had done for Moses. Uli Israel amo. So I guess that's actually a continuation. And for Israel, his people. O is his, Am is people. What exactly did he hear? Ki gives us the content. He doesn't always mean because. It gives us the content. Here's what he heard. Hotzi Adonai et Yisrael mimitzrayim. Hotzi. What kind of a verb is hotzi? Well, the root, in one form or another, is related to this. Yatsa was originally watsa with a he feel causative hey at the front. He caused to go out, that is, the Lord did. Whom did he cause to go out? Et Yisrael. From where? Mi Mitzrayim, from Egypt. All right, comments, questions? Who would like to read the next verse?
I'll read if no one wants to.
Cheryl, please, go ahead.
Okay. Vayikach Yitro Choten Moshe et Tzipora Eshet Moshe Achar Shilucheha.
Mm-hmm.
Shilucheya.
Shilucheha. I think you said it right the first time.
Oh.
Shilucheha. So what is it that he did? Shilucheha.
Sent her away
All right. All right. So if we
forcefully, intensively.
yeah, exactly. So who sent her away? Who's the subject?
Moshe.
Moses.
Yeah, we only have two options. We only have two 3MS options, Yitro and Moshe. Does it make sense that Jethro sent her away? No.
No.
Moses sent her away. Why would he have sent his wife away? Zipporah.
She was mad at him for circumcising the boys, the son.
While that is while that is a possibility,
Theory.
while that is a theory, exactly. How about this? Moses was still, the Hebrew people were still enslaved in Egypt. And now his wife and children are in the mix. Seems like it would have made sense for Moses to say, listen, things are a little unsettled here in Egypt. Why don't you go back and stay with your dad until things here are ironed out?
That's
I don't know.
probably more likely, yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? That's a theory too. Vayikach Yitro Choten Moshe, in case we forgot, Et Tzipora, Eshet Moshe, Achal Shilucheha. All right, what is Vayikach? Well, it's a Vayiktol, and then Yod, he, root,
Lakach.
Lakach. Very good. The lamed is assimilated into the kuf. Vayilkach turns into Vayikach. And then he took, who did? Jethro, our subject. Jethro who? Choten Moshe. That's so funny to me. We just saw it in the previous verse. The father-in-law of Moses took
When I
whom?
saw when I saw Choten, I was looking for Kohen.
Ah,
That Tav threw me off.
mhm.
Kohen.
Choten. It's a similar vowel pattern because they are probably both participles. Kohen, Choten, Shofet, Yoshev. They all have an O-E pattern. Maybe. And what did he take, or whom did he take? Et Tzipora. What is the name of his daughter's? What is the meaning of his daughter's name?
The little bird.
Fingernail.
Ah, well, Tzipornayim are the talons or fingernails. Tzipora, however, is a little bird.
Mhm.
Maybe a
Tzipora.
yeah, something like that. And she is Eshet Moshe. Eshet. What's the absolute form of the word Eshet? This is in construct with Moses, wife of
Isha.
Moses.
Isha.
So what's the absolute form? Isha.
Isha.
Is this how you spell Isha?
Needs a doubling dagesh.
Why?
Insha.
Right, because it's Insha. Apparently, the same root is related to Enosh and Anashim. Noon is part of the root. Insha, the noon assimilates and it becomes Isha, doubling dagesh and machine. It's not here, though, because these two letters used to be the end of, actually, it's because this used to be the end of the syllable. Ishtu. Ishtu is what the word used to be. Then when we lost the case endings, it becomes isht. And then when the segol is shoved in there, then we get vowel harmonization. Eshet, oive. It's all kinds of strange stuff happening. Anyway, wife of Moses. When? Achar shilucheha. Is this a pronominal suffix?
It's an object preposition.
Yeah.
Object pronoun.
Okay, I'm getting object.
Directional, okay.
No, it can't be directional. Directional hey is kamatz hey that never has the stress. Like habaita. That would be going towards the house. Habaita. But here, it's a ha instead of kamatz hey, ah. This is a vowel. That's a consonant. All right. So back to the question: is this a pronominal suffix? I hear somebody saying that it's an object.
Well,
Object
if
suffix.
it was her, wouldn't there be a mapik in the hay?
No, because as long as there's a vowel attached to the
Oh, right,
it has to
right,
be a
right.
consonant.
Mm.
Okay,
So
let's
it's
start.
her.
Let's start with this. What's the base form of the word?
Shalach.
Mm-mm.
No.
Close.
Lamed Tav.
I'm afraid not. It's shiluach. Is that a verbal form?
No.
Nope. It's a noun. Shiluach. We have other forms like dibur that have the same pattern. This pattern, eu, is what's called a shem pe'ula in Hebrew. It is the noun of the action of a verb. So dibur, we could call that the act of speaking. It's a noun. Shiluach would be the act of sending away. All right. So then there's a yod here. Usually when there's a yod, what is that attached to a noun before a pronominal suffix? What does that usually mean?
Uh,
I'll give you an example. Melacheha. Let's parse this out. Melacheha. Ha means hers.
For king.
Melech, king. What's the yod for?
It's the plural.
Excellent. Usually yod is there because of a plural. Now,
yes.
obviously it doesn't sound good in the English to say after her actions of being sent away. It just doesn't sound right. But hey, there's a yod there. It appears to be plural. But you can see what the English translator did. They ironed out all the bumpy spots and gave us a real dumbed down, simplified version.
I didn't say third person feminine singular because it sounded like a contradiction to say.
Yeah, well, the action of being sent is belonging to her. Yeah, 3FS. You're absolutely right. That is 3FS. So the ha, this is something I wanted to kind of touch on anyway. How do you say her king? Well, I gave you the answer. How do you say it?
Malka.
Malcha.
Malka. Very good. So what we have here is a suffix, and some would argue it's actually ah, like this. Okay, well, this is actually just a connecting vowel. The original suffix is ha. But apparently it was too much for us to say malkaha, and so it simply became malkah, and that's why we need the mapik. But over here, we get to see the original 3FS suffix appearing. Shiluche ha. So if ever you happen to see a ha at the end of a word like, oh, of course. How would you say her brother?
Achiha.
Because the word already ends with a vowel, we're not simply going to add another vowel on top of it with a hey at the end, like achiyah or something. It maintains the original suffix, achiha, her, achi, brother. And here we get to see the original root letter yod that usually disappears in the word ach, achiha. So anyway, the point being, ha is more original. Ah, with the connecting vowel ah, came later. But it still shows up throughout the Bible, so it's still important to know.
So
Is there
shilucheha is a noun. Her after her being sent back, or how would you
Yeah.
properly translate that?
All right. So this is the action of being sent away. It's a noun. And in fact, it's plural. How to do that in English is probably beyond me. The the actions of being sent away belonging to her.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's very awkward, and you can understand why the translator irons it out for us. Someone else had something to say. Who was it?
Well, we're looking at who, right?
Uh, who is a different suffix. That's who 3ms as opposed to ha 3fs.
Ha. 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 So are we missing an aleph anywhere?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Where? Are you thinking of the
Um,
word? Are you thinking of this word here missing an aleph? Where's it? Who's missing an aleph?
no, I'm just looking at the 3FS. Oh, that's prefix. I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Who would like, if there are no other questions, who would like to read the next verse?
Bill,
All right. Please go ahead.
Ve'et Shnei Beneha
Hey, there it is. Sorry, I
Asher
didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to, just like we were just talking about that. Please. Ve'etshne vaneha.
Asher Sham.
Shem.
Yes. Oh,
Okay, I thought you said Shem.
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 Shem. Ha'achar. Ha'akar. Ekar. Ge- ge- Gershom.
Mhm.
Gershom. Gershom. Ki. Amar. Gar. Ger. Haiti. Ba'aret. Eretz. Nach. Right. Riyah.
Mhm. There's only one teensy tiny little mistake you made. Can anyone find it?
Nochri'ah.
Nochria.
Pesky kamatz katan.
Yeah.
Nochriya. Or actually, no.
No.
Nochriya. It's not a, I don't think it, oh, nochriya. Okay, it's an adjective. No. Eretz nochriya. Nochriya. No, it would have to be a, Eretz no, it'd have to be an adjective, wouldn't it?
Mhm.
Nochriya. Yeah, nochri. No. Okay, I'm torn about whether it's a noun or an adjective. I'm sorry, I don't have a fixed answer, but then Hebrew often combines nouns and adjectives or uses them interchangeably, like they're both substantives. So I'm not going to dwell on it too much. Ve'et shnei vaneha asher shem ha'echad Gershom ki amar ger hayiti be'eretz nochriya. And I'm sure it's going to tell us the name of the second son in the next verse, but we haven't gotten there yet. So big comma. Ve'et shnei vaneha. This is continuing from the last idea that Yitro is bringing back Tzipora and et shnei vaneha, and the two of her, plural, sons. Now we get more information about those sons. Asher Shem ha'echad, the name of the one. Supply the verb is or was Gershom. Who is a ger?
A stranger.
A sojourner, in a foreigner in a foreign land, living permanently, or at least more or less permanently. I guess 40 years is pretty permanent. And Shom seems to be referring to Sham. What is Sham?
There.
There.
Over there.
Is it weird that ah turns into o? Well, not in Western Semitic languages. The ah changing into an o is famously called the Canaanite shift. If there are any words in Hebrew that have an o vowel, but in Aramaic, they are an ah vowel, that is the Canaanite shift. Trying to think of a good example. I mean, the Yitro form is probably the best example. Like Yishmor has an O vowel. No, hang on. Yishmor. That would have come from an U vowel. Scratch that, scratch that, scratch that. Think of a different one. All I can think of is Shulchan, the only one that didn't change over. Oh, Yom. Is Yom one of them? Because it should be Yam, but in Hebrew it turned into Yom. But that might be because Vav is part of the root. So also not a good example. Can anyone help me out here?
Tov. Tav.
That one's a very eccentric word. I wonder if it's because it comes from the root yitov or yatov. And this is actually a state of being, it's very speculative, but it would help explain why in the he feel the root is yod tet bet instead of tet vav bet. I just about had one. What was it? Is it etmol? Tmol? Shalom. I don't think shalom is one. Okay, well, I don't have a good example, but if you ever want to look into it, just look up the Canaanite shift, and hopefully you'll get a lot more examples than I was able to provide. My apologies. Anyway, Gersham turns into Gershom, a stranger or foreigner, or no, a sojourner there. Why? Ki, here the word ki means because. Amar, he said, Ger Haiti, a foreigner, sojourner, I was. You see the katal suffix. I was be'eretz nochriya, in a land that is nochri means a strange land, and I guess because eretz is feminine, that's why we get the feminine adjective ending, nochriya. How do you call a Hebrew person in Hebrew?
Ivri,
Ivri. Very good. How do you call a Hebrew woman in Hebrew?
Ivrim.
Ivrit. Ivriya oder Ivrit?
Ivriya. Ivrit is the language. Ivriya
Yes.
is the woman. Very good. Who is a Jew in Hebrew?
Yehudi.
Who is a Jewess?
Yehudia.
Very good. You're catching on. So anytime you have an adjective describing a female individual, you get a on the end of the adjective. So this is why I'm torn. I see that nochriya, and I'm thinking it's got to be a noun, but it's modifying a feminine noun, so it must be an adjective. So that's why I was torn earlier. I'll have to look that up to gain a little bit of clarity. Christina, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you. I was wondering, what is the difference between Ger and when it talks about Elijah Hatishbi? At least I've seen in some dictionary it says the sojourner. Do you know what the difference between those words is?
So Tishbi is referring to him as from an area named after this word, but it's possible that it's related to teshev, which is sitting or dwelling, not to be confused with a toshav, which is someone who has, let's see, Abraham called himself a toshav. In Judaism, in Orthodox Judaism, a toshav and a ger are essentially the same. A toshav is someone who is dwelling, and a ger is a sojourner, meaning they are from a different place. In that sense, I guess they would be synonymous. A ger and a toshav. Actually, Abram says that he's both a ger and a toshav with the Hittites. I think in Judaism, they're pretty much synonymous.
Interesting.
Now, the word ger did have quite a shift in meaning over time. The word ger originally meant sojourner in the sense that you're not from this area, you moved here, and now you live here permanently. Greek translated it as anybody? Proselyte. A proselyte. And apparently in Greek, and I'm sure I misspelled this, but a proselyte is supposed to be Greek for one who is living in a different place. But what did it come to mean?
A convert.
It did not originally mean convert.
Yeah.
You can tell because of both the Greek word in the Septuagint and how the Hebrew word is used. Abraham is called a ger. Israel is called a ger. If I'm not mistaken, I think David even called himself a ger. It's like, no, a ger is not a convert. A ger is someone who is living in a foreign land. So there's a lot of that's very pregnant with theological ramifications, but I don't want to go down that bunny trail. Any other comments or questions on this before we move on?
Thank you.
Sure. I hope that helped some. Who would like to read next?
I'd be happy to.
Excellent.
Okay. V'shem ha'echad Eliezer ki Elohei avi be'ezri vayatzileni mecheref paro.
Perfect.
Thank
Wonderful. V'shem ha'echad Eliezer or Eliezer ki Elohei avi be'ezri vayatzileni mecheref paro. All right, so we're still continuing about the two sons that Yitro brought back, the name of the one, now the name of the second one, V'shem ha'echad, and the name of the one. Isn't that interesting? It doesn't say the name of the one and the name of the other. It says the name of the one and the name of the one. I guess what I'm alluding to is like when you have two teams, there's team A and team B, team 1 and team 2. And the second one always feels inferior, but here it's the name of the one and the name of the one. Eliezer. How do we break this word up?
Eli and
Eliezer.
Ezer.
Eli means,
My God.
okay, it's either my God or God of, depending on whether that is an ancient case ending. And Ezer,
Help.
help, help. My God is help or God of help or something like that. Exactly. Ki, and here we get the explanation, because Elohei Avi, the God of my father, Be'ezri, in my help. That's weird. You can see how the translator fixes it. The God of my father was or is or has been my help. Vayatzileni. Oh, by the way, Ezer, help, is usually referring in the Bible to military help. Your hide is in trouble and someone came and rescued you.
Okay.
So when you think of like Ezer Kenegdo, God created a helpmeet. It means a lot more than someone to help out in the kitchen. Tuesday, what was your question?
Is Be'ezri infinitive construct?
Oh no, Ezri
No?
is a noun. It's close to the original form. I guess it would be is, much like the word beged was originally bigd, and that's how
So
you
what's
see
the
it.
bet?
Oh, the bet is a preposition, definitely, but it doesn't necessarily make the following word an infinitive construct. An infinitive construct is a verbal noun, whereas this is just a straight up noun.
So the translator just ignored it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. If this were supposed to be in helping me, an actual infinitive construct, it would have to be be'ozri, because the infinitive would be azol. And this reduced vowel right here, they tell me, was originally an O vowel. I'm not sure if I believe it. I've always taught that this O, if ever it goes down to schwa, affects the preceding vowel. I don't know which one it is, but either way, the infinitive construct would be like here, it would be ozri, my helping. But then it would be like, I'm the one doing it. So maybe that's why they didn't use the infinitive construct. It's God who's doing it. So in my like need of help.
Okay.
By the way, to finish my thought out, bigd. If we ever see the word beged with a pronominal suffix like his garment, it would be bigdo. So the word beged was originally bigd. It's just hard to say, so it turned into beged. Same thing with easel. It would have originally been Izro, but apparently with the ayin, that was hard to say, so they shifted the vowel a little bit, make it easier. Ezro or Ezri. Vayatzileni mecherev paro. What is cherev paro? That's the easy part.
The sword of
Sword
Pharaoh.
of Pharaoh.
Absolutely. And me at the front?
From.
From. Now for the hard part. How do we parse this, Mama Jamma? Vayatzileni. What form is it?
Vayikto.
Yep, there's a Vav Patach Dagesh. It's a Vayiktol. What person gender number is it? Who's the
3ms.
subject? 3ms. There's a Yod at the front, nothing at the end, so it's 3ms. He is the subject. So, and then he, what's the root or binyan?
Is it Nun Zadi Lamed?
Mm-hmm. The root is, stop, Jared. Nun Tzadi Lamed.
Then the
Person gender
object
number.
suffix ni.
Very good. Yeah, let's go ahead and add that. How do I call it? Yeah, let's call it a suffix. Suffix
And is he Phil?
any, so that's me, one CP, one CS. And then how do you know it's he feel?
The Patach under the Yod and the Sere under the Lamed.
So that patach is going to give it away. And the chirik should be chirik yod, but here it's not, is a bonus. It's a he feel, causative, causing, rescuing. He delivered, and then he delivered me, mecherev paro, from the sword of Pharaoh. Nice, well done. Questions?
Yes. The Sere
Okay.
under the Lamed. That's not a clue.
No, ma'am. That is a connecting vowel for the object suffix.
Got it.
In katal, or I should say suffix conjugations, really, but yeah, let me say it that way. Well, no, I won't. So katal and vekatal are both suffix conjugations. They both take suffixes, right?
Yes.
Both of them, if they take an object suffix, their connecting vowel will be an ah sound. But your prefix conjugations like yiktol and vayiktol, their connecting vowel will be either a tsere or a segol, some sort of an vowel. So let's take, let's say God guarded me. What vowel goes here? Some sort of an ah vowel. Yeah. It would be shimarani. Whereas over here, it's any. And the difference is whether it's a prefix conjugation or a suffix conjugation. That's it. Also, your connecting vowel for nouns is also going to be an ah, so we'll throw that in there. Unless, of course, they're plural, then it's going to be this one over here, plural nouns. Oh man, I didn't even think of that. Why is it that plural nouns have this vowel? Well, because there's an extra yod shoved in there. And let's see if we have melacheha. We saw earlier that it was an E vowel right here. Why? Because of the yod. The yod is what makes it plural. Based on what I've been reading in a new grammar that I have, they tell me that it was probably originally milachaiha, and that I turned into an A sound. Maybe. Makes sense. Happens in a lot of other places. Good. Any other questions? Okay. Who wants to read?
I can read when you want.
Please, Thomas, go ahead.
Okay. ויבוא יתרו חותן משה ובניו
Mhm.
ואשתו אל משה אל המדבר אשר הוא חונה שם הר האלוהים.
Very good. Asher hu choneh sham ha- Okay, excellent. Vayavo Yitro choten Moshe, in case we forgot, uvanav ve'ishto, in case we forgot, el Moshe, el hamidbar, asher hu choneh sham har ha'elohim. What's the root of vayavo?
בית ו' א'.
How do you know?
The cholem is there.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So the
And-
cholam can be reminiscent of a missing vav, or it could just be
Yes.
part of vocabulary. This root shows up quite a bit. What kind of a word is this? What form is this word? Choneh.
It's participle.
Participle. So how should we translate it?
Normally camping.
How so?
Camped. Can be adjective. No.
No, participle is an adjective. Participle
Yeah.
is an adjective. It absolutely is an
Noun,
adjective.
adjective, or a
People
verb.
say that, Thomas, people say that participles are chameleons. They can be adjectives, they can be nouns, they can be verbs. I disagree 100%. A participle is an adjective,
Mhm.
but it could be used substantively as a noun, and it
Mhm.
describes what someone is doing, an action, but it is 100% an adjective. How do I know? Because it comes in 4 flavors: masculine singular, masculine plural, feminine singular, feminine plural, just like all other adjectives do.
Mhm.
So the question on the table is how to translate a participle. Usually it should entail some sort of continuous action, usually an ing. Asher hu choneh sham, where he was camping there, or to the place where he was camping. Where? Har ha'elohim, at the Mount of God.
Mhm.
Probably referring to Mount Sinai, or sorry, referring to the biblical Mount Sinai, and calling it Har ha'elohim. All right, and I think that's it. If there are no questions, who would like to read next?
I'll read.
Please.
ויאמר אל משה, אני חותנך, יתרו בא אליך, Ve'ishtecha. Ushne vaneha. Imach.
Yitro, this is old news, bud. Why do you keep telling us this over and over? We already read the previous several verses. Anyway, here we go. Vayomer el Moshe. Got a pause right here. That's probably where the quote starts. Ani chotencha Yitro ba elecha ve'ishtecha ushne vaneha imach. Okay, whether the other, I would assume this is where I don't know if I think this is where the quote ends, but at any rate, it's the end of the verse. So I'm going to put an end quote here. Does Moses not know who his father-in-law is? And he said to Moses, I am your father-in-law, Jethro. Is this a katal verb or a participle?
Ah,
Is it a participle?
coming,
Okay.
coming to you.
How do you exactly? How would you defend that it is a participle and not a katal verb?
Context? We had a
Well, that's what I
previous
meant. Right.
participle.
That's what oh, I see. Okay. There was a previous participle where Moses was camping. Okay.
Mm.
Sometimes that can be helpful. Here, what Moses is doing versus what Jethro is doing could be unrelated. So I wouldn't zoom in on that aspect. What other aspect of the context can we use to show that this is a participle?
Because he's arriving then, it's not a past action.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah. Yes.
How about this? If I am the subject, then it can't be a 3M katal.
Mm.
Mm.
Hmm.
So that means it can only be a masculine singular participle.
Yes.
Otherwise, it would say, Ani chotencha Yitro bati elecha. Now, it's going to be a lot harder when this subject over here is a 3MS instead of a 1CP, 1CS. So here it was easy. That was low-hanging fruit. But whenever you have a 3MS and you have to decide, oh gosh, which one is it? You got to figure out something in context. And I agree with you all. Maybe Jethro is sending word to Moses. I am coming to you. Maybe he hasn't arrived yet. I am coming to you. Or we can look to the next verse where Moses then comes out to meet him. Oh, well, then it means that he hasn't arrived yet. So sorry for putting the blinders on and showing you only one verse at a time. Whenever you're trying to answer a question like this, make sure you look at the verses before, verses after, try to figure out the context. Ve'ishtecha, your eshet, your isht. See that? Isht. Your wife, Ushne Vaneha, and her two sons. Funny how it says, and her two sons with her, instead of your two sons. But anyway, it's what it
Yes.
is. I wonder if they're bad behaved. So he says, oh, they're your children. No, I'm teasing. I'm kidding. All right. So now we get to see what Moses does as a result of hearing that his father-in-law is coming. Who would like to read it?
I can read.
Cheryl.
ויצא משה לקראת חותנו, וישתחו, וישק לו, וישאלו איש לרעהו לשלום, ויבואו האוהלה.
Ha'ohela.
האוהלה.
Ha'ohela. Very good. Vayetze Moshe likrat chotno. And he yatsa. Well, actually, that yod is the yictol prefix. There's your indication that the root is yatsa. And then he went out, Moses did, Likrat, to meet or towards. Hotno. This comes from the root kara, to happen upon. And here the hey turned to an aleph. Frustrating because kara means to read or call.
Ah,
Yeah, bummer. Likrat, towards, upon, meeting, happening upon. Hotno, his
What is,
father-in-law.
what is that?
it's
third
Aramaic.
letter?
It
Influence.
is not Aramaic. What was your question, Tuesday?
Nee, influence. Sorry,
Or who?
It's Aleph,
Elizabeth,
nee.
did you have a question?
Yeah, what's that third letter in Kara?
1, 2, 3. This is a resh.
No, I meant up above where you wrote.
Oh, it was a yod, kuf
A
resh
yod.
yod, and I turned it into a hey because that's the standard
Oh,
form
hey.
kara, to happen upon.
Thank you.
Thomas, what were you saying?
Yes, we learn in Aramaic that the Aleph can be right as a he, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a tap at the end. Okay, but it's very difficult. Okay.
Right. So there are
It's
places
like
in
Aramaic because
that's what you meant.
yeah.
Okay. The
Yes.
changing of well, it's actually a yod. Remember the root is kuf resh yod. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean to do that.
Mhm.
So what it is actually the yod turning into an aleph,
Ah,
whereas in Aramaic, the final vowel letter, like ah or are interchangeable, meaning the.
okay, it's a long R, yes.
So this has more to do with a mater letter hey versus mater letter aleph in
Mhm.
Aramaic, as opposed to a consonantal root yod turning into an aleph in certain situations. I'm not sure I can
Okay.
really make a systematic description of when yod turns into aleph. It's actually
Mm.
a bit unpredictable. It's easier just to memorize the words that do it. Vayishtachu. I think we talked about this verb quite a bit. What was it, last week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only hishtafel in the Bible.
The only hishtafel in the Bible that has the only hishtafel in the Bible, and especially the only hitpael that has 4 root letters. It's supposed to be 1, 2, 3, and a missing yod at the end.
And what is it called in Aramaic?
Shafel.
Shafel.
Well, Aramaic also has an afel, with an aleph as the voice of the causative.
Mm.
But in other Semitic languages, it's shafel, and I think Aramaic has it too.
Okay.
Vayishak. Something's missing here.
Noon.
Nun. You see that dagesh? Think of a nun. The root is nashak.
Ah, kissed, yes.
And
Mhm.
he kissed lo, him or toward him, for him. Vayishalu. And they asked or sought.
Mhm.
Ish le're'ehu. A man to his fellow. Each man to his fellow or to each other, lishalom, with the intention of peace or towards their peace. The word there isn't built in, but you can see the translator supplied it. Vayavo'u, and then they went. Ha'ohela. Now, is this a directional hey?
I think so.
Yes.
Absolutely. There's no stress on it. It's definitely a directional hey, right?
Mhm.
Why didn't they put the stress here? Ha'ohela.
Reduced vowel is not going to have the stress.
I get that, but why couldn't it just lengthen? Kind of like what we see in the verb shamra, like this. If the stress moves from here over to here, it'll cause that to lengthen. We get shamara. So why didn't that just lengthen?
It's because of the direct article. Hey,
I don't think so. I actually gave you guys the answer earlier when we were talking about it's oh no, it's not because of pausal.
Yeah.
Earlier I gave you guys the answer. Remember the verb baga no, excuse me, the noun beged, which turns
Mhm.
into bigged.
Mhm.
This is your original form. There
Mhm.
is no vowel to lengthen.
Huh?
It's the end of a syllable here. Same with the word ohel. It was originally ooh. There is no vowel to lengthen. Granted, the schwa is turning into a reduced segol because you need something to get that hey sound out. But the point is, it's only short vowels, original short vowels, that can either lengthen or drop to schwa. But in a word like this, the original vowel was not, nothing. So there's nothing to lengthen. It has to necessarily put the stress over here because you can't put it on the kamatz hey. The directional hey cannot take a stress,
Mm.
can't take the accent. So you put it here. So this is one of the things, I don't know, it's kind of a pet peeve of mine that when grammars tell you to split words up into syllables, some of them say to split these reduced vowels. I think that's the dumbest idea because now you have an accent on the, not the penultima, but on the pre-penultima. And that doesn't happen in Hebrew. It's not supposed to. So I always teach my students to split it up like this so that your reduced vowels and schwas either end one syllable or start the next one. And it helps you better understand how it was originally, I guess, helps to better understand the original form. Oh, well, that's just me. Oh, hala. Okay.
Oh,
Comments, questions? All right. Who wants to read?
I can read when you want.
All right. Go ahead, Thomas.
Okay. ויספר משה לחותנו את כל אשר עשה אדוני לפרעה ולמצרים על אודות ישראל. את כל התלאה אשר מצאתם בדרך ויצלם אדוני.
Excellent. Well done. ויספר משה לחותנו את כל אשר עשה אדוני לפרעה ולמצרים על אודות ישראל את כל התלאה אשר מצאתם, excuse me, מצאתם בדרך ויצילם אדוני. Let's go ahead and jump to it. What's going on with this?
Is it a participle?
I'm afraid not.
No. Okay.
is the root mem zade aleph?
It is.
Hmm?
What does that mean?
Found.
Good.
And then is it 3FS?
Excellent. The tav here is our original 3fs suffix. We think of it as kamatz hey, but it's actually kamatz. It's actually patach tav, but whatever. Kamatz tav, it lengthened. And then what's this?
Patach.
Oh, okay. Yes, it is. Why? Why is there a patach?
Is it because there's an object suffix?
Absolutely. And it's a katal verb. So katal verbs take connecting vowels. Mitza'atam. So this is going to be referring to them. 3 and P. She found them. She? Who is she?
She is.
Is it Moses' wife, Zipporah?
Oh.
This is not.
Explain again why the schwa under the mem.
Well, that's just too far away from the stress.
Okay. So Tom, because Tom gets the stress.
Well, here the stress is actually on the aleph because of the munach. So mitza'atam.
Okay.
But it's still 2 spaces away from the stress, so it drops down. But so we've got mitza'at. She found them. So who's the she?
The Travar,
The travail.
Travail.
Hatzla'ah. Now I can't help but ask, what's the root of this word, hatla'ah?
Is it Lamed Aleph Yod?
You know anybody named Leah?
Yes.
Who is
Yes,
Leah?
yes,
What does her
Leah.
name mean?
I don't know what her name means.
The name means when you are. Oh, I don't know the English word. Müde.
Does it mean to travail?
Müde. Very good. Müde. It means tired.
You're tired.
Oh,
Yes.
tired.
Wonderful.
So here we have la'ah, which is more of a, I don't know, kind of an abstract word related to being wiped out, exhausted.
Yeah.
So they call it travail. We'll just call it travail. Yeah, sure. The travail that found them baderech, on the way.
Yes.
It seems like an awfully nice way of saying all the stuff that these people, all the grief that these people have caused me. Vayatzilem.
So the root would be Lamed Aleph Hey, and the Taf would be what forms the pattern. Is that?
I would say Lamed Aleph Yod, and Tav is part of the pattern. Yes, much like Tefillah has a Tav at the front, or Torah has a Tav at the front, or Todah, or Tagmula. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of words that have a tav at the front, but it's part of the pattern, yes.
Okay.
Vayatzilem, there's our connecting vowel on a prefix conjugation verb, and he delivered them. That is, the Lord did. What binyan is vaisaper?
Where is it?
I see not the word. Yeah, the first one. Okay.
BL?
PL, yes.
How do you know it's PL?
Yeah.
The sere and the schwa?
Good. The tsere is really secondary. It sometimes goes here, sometimes does that. The shva, the patach, and the dagesh. These are the 3 things we're looking for. Very good.
Yes.
So safar in the kal binyan means to count, but vaisaper in the PL means to recount a story. And Moses recounted to his choten all that the Lord did or had done, lefaro, to Pharaoh, ulemitzrayim, and to the Egyptians, al odot Israel, on concerning Israel, or for the sake of is good too, I guess. In modern Hebrew, if you want to tell about someone, here, let me tell you about Joe. let me tell you about Tom. You would say, or tell you about a book. A higher level Hebrew would say, al odot, that person or thing. Tell me about it. And all right. If there are no questions, we'll go to the next one. Who would like to read? Go ahead, Eileen.
No. Va
Vayichad.
Veichad Yitro
Mhm.
al Kol HaTova Asher Hashem
Asher asa.
Asa Adonai Le Israel Asher Ha Ha Hitzlo
Hitzilo.
Hatzilo
No, hitzilo.
Hitzi Mead
Miyad.
Miad Mitzrayim
Mitzrayim. You are reading faster than I can look a word up. Dad. Here it is. Okay. I was wondering what the root of that first verb is. Vayichad. It seems strange to me that there's a dagesh in it. So I was wondering what was going on there. Let's see. Chadi.
Yachad.
Oh,
I think
Hadu.
Yachad is possible.
Okay. I now hold the answer, so I know what the answer as to what root this is. Anyway, what form is it? Vayi?
It's a Vayikto
Absolutely. It has to be a vayictol. Built-in subject is
He.
right.
3ms.
3ms. You did it.
3ms
Absolutely. Now, as far as the root goes, all we have is this to work with. What about the binyan? How can we tell what the binyan is?
Hirik under the yod.
Hirik under the yod tells us that it must be
Call.
kal.
Call
Kal. Vayichad. All right. Now, what do we do about the root? And what's going on here? It looks super weird. Well, I looked it up in the dictionary, and at first I thought it might be chet dalet dalet. Suspicious that it wasn't, because chad or chadad is to be sharp. And I'm like, what does rejoicing have to do with chadad to be sharp? But then right below it, I found chada, which means to rejoice. And looking at the other Semitic languages from which that also have similar words, it looks like the root was originally chet dalet vav, which then probably turned into a yod in most forms, but there were certain verbs that ended with a vav as opposed to a yod. In the end, they look the same, but why is there a dagesh in here? Maybe it's because the vav is back assimilating into it. I really don't know. Remember that your vayictol forms like to apocopate and be shorter. So apparently that's its way of doing it. So vayichad Yitro, and Jethro rejoiced. Al kol hatova. Is this an adjective or a noun?
Noun. Definite article. Dargestellt.
How do you say susa to?
Tova.
But wait, I thought you just told
Good
me that it was
horse.
a noun. This is an adjective, and
It's
this
an
is the.
adjective.
How do you know?
Describing all.
Okay, I would actually point to the definite article.
Yeah, the definite article.
The
There is now the
right. So because kol and because of the definite article, this has to be serving as a noun.
yeah.
Agreed. But can't you
There is
take
no
a
yeah. There
but
is
can't
no
you take an adjective and turn it into a noun? The wise will understand, right? Wise is an adjective, but the wise is referring to the wise ones.
Mhm.
So is it turning an adjective into a noun here? The word tova is used so frequently in spoken Hebrew that it's essentially a noun, or an adjective. But asher tells us more things about or something else about the previous noun.
Mhm.
So I would still argue that it's either a noun or it's an adjective acting like a noun. Again, Hebrew really doesn't make a lot of distinction between nouns and adjectives. They're both substantives. Asher asa, which he did, that is the Lord, l'Israel. Asher, ooh, so this must be referring back to Israel. Asher hitzilo miad Mitzrayim. Can somebody help me parse this out? Hitzilo.
He feel.
Ifil?
Okay. The hey, the chirik yod tells us it's hefil, causative.
Nun sade lamed is the root.
We've got a missing noon as a dagesh, tzadi lamed as the root.
3MP.
3MP maybe?
I hear you saying 3MP. Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
There's the O suffix.
Okay, so there's a suffix O, which refers to
The God he had delivered them.
so I'm sorry. So the O is referring to 3MS. So that means our verbal form is hitzil. It's not 3MP. Someone said 3MP. The verb is 3MS.
Yeah, but the katal. And it's a suffix.
It is a katal, but the
Yeah.
O is not a katal suffix. The O is a pronominal suffix.
Yeah, pronominal suffix.
Oh.
Yeah, yes.
So hitzil is 3MS, and he did it to him.
Him.
So this is referring back to him,
Is
and the subject is referring back to he who did it. You have two different
don't
three
know.
S's, and you have to be certain to connect them back to where they go. It is God who delivered him, the people of Israel, miyad Mitzrayim, from the hand of Egypt.
Okay, Israel is here one man as a group.
Correct. So Yisrael, this is a little bit of a tangent, but let's go with it. Yisrael and pretty much any state or nation or city is always going to be feminine.
Okay.
But if you're referring to a people, well, that's the word which is masculine.
Yeah.
So here, all we have is the word Yisrael. Is it supposed to be a nation or a people? Well, because this is masculine and it can't refer to anything else, we must come to the conclusion that there's an asyndetic Am Yisrael, and they simply left it out. If I say America is really perplexed by the political scene right now, well, I'm not referring to the land. I'm not referring to the government. I'm referring to the people, right? But I don't say that. The people of America are blah, blah, blah. So apparently the same thing happened here. L'am Yisrael, and then it can refer back to the O. It's asyndetic. It's not there. It's assumed. What's the only city, state, or nation that is not feminine?
The Vatican.
The Vatican. Why? Nobody knows. All right. Would anyone else like to read?
I'll read.
Go ahead, Tuesday.
Vayomer Yitro Beruch Adonai Asher Hitzil Etchem Miyad Mitzrayim Umiyad Paro Asher Hitzil. Oh, gosh, picture in the way. Et Ha'am Mitachat Yad Mitzrayim.
Excellent reading. And there's an explicit mention of Ha'am. It was esthetic earlier, and here it's showing up explicitly. So that kind of helps that case. Vayomer Yitro. There's a little pause right there. It's probably where the quote starts. And Jethro said, Baruch Adonai. What form is Baruch?
Passive participle.
Sure is. Kal, passive participle. One being blessed. So blessed is or blessed be the Lord. What about him? The one who hitzil etchem, who delivered you all miyad Mitzrayim, from the hand of Egypt. Miyad Paro, and from the hand of Pharaoh. And then it has an asher. It's more information about Pharaoh, right?
No. That goes back to God.
Yeah, of course. So you have to be
No,
careful
it
about
goes
where your
back to
asher.
God.
You have to be careful about where your asher is going back to. It's not always just this one thing. We have a subordinate clause here that refers back to God, and then another subordinate clause here that also goes back to God. Asher hitzil et ha'am, the one who delivered the people. Mitachat yad Mitzrayim. Gosh, it sure does sound like this is just a repetition of this. Just saying the same thing with two different, saying the same thing with different words. That happens a lot in Hebrew. It's called poetry. Apparently, Jethro is speaking poetically here by repeating himself, but using different words. How many times have you read the Psalms? And it seems like it says one thing and then says the exact same thing, but in different words. That's biblical Hebrew poetry. And apparently, according to what we're reading from Jethro, it must have been how ancient people talked, or at least were being eloquent. Ata yadati ki gadol Adonai mikol ha'elohim ki vadavar asher zadu alehem. Ata. Why is there a strong dagesh in ata? Truth be told, nobody knows, but the winning theory is that it's a missing nun.
I think it's a missing unit assimilated into it.
Certainly looks like one. Ata yadati, I did or have known. Ki, because, no, it's actually giving us the content of what I know. I know that Gadol Adonai, great is the Lord, Mikol HaElohim. Now remember, this is the priest of Midian. And he said, Yod He Vav He is greater than all gods. Remember, the mem, the mean can be used comparatively. God is great from or compared to all the gods. It's probably because of stuff like this that Judaism thinks that Jethro might have converted, but I don't know. That's actually there's some controversy behind that. Key. Now, is this because or content?
because?
I think it's because in
No.
the thing or in the matter
No.
that zadu alehem. So we've got an oo here that says that they are the subject, but what's the root? What could the root be? Suppose we don't know. What could the root be?
Zion Vav Dalet.
Okay. Zain Vav Dalet. What else could it be? Think of words like ra'u.
Zion Dalet Yod.
Zain Dalet Yod. Anything else? Could it be Zain Dalet Dalet?
Mhm.
No,
Good. Why not?
because the Dalet would have a Dagesh.
Correct. And it does not, so this is ruled out. Could it be Nun Zain Dalet?
There'll be a
Yes.
guess again.
If Nun began the verb, it wouldn't be ending the syllable. And if it's not ending the syllable, then it doesn't assimilate. So if it were Nun, then it would show up. So it can't be this one either. Also, if there were a Nun in the second or third place, or excuse me, in the second place, there should also be a Dagesh. So pretty much we've narrowed it down to two possibilities, either Zud or Zada, one or the other. I don't know which one it is. I'd have to look it up. They dealt proudly. It's not a common word. You know, there 49% of the words that show up in the Bible only appear once or twice, and I will be the first to admit I don't know all the words in the Bible. So here's an interesting one that we'll have to go look up. Alehem. Alehem. Well, al means above or on, but I guess it could also be concerning or about them. Dealing proudly, they dealt proudly. Alehem. What's going on here? Does anybody understand the context? I feel like it's a bunch of words that don't make sense.
Now I know they got it.
Ooh, I know.
All of them? Like, is
That.
all of them?
Can I look up this right here? Maybe. Maybe. Oh, what if I look up the word Zadu? Of course I have to put, no, I don't have to do that. There you go. Zain Vav Dalet. Says it shows up 10 times in the Bible. Huh, I guess I should know it. 21, let's see, 2102. Uh-huh. All right. Zud. All right, so to act proudly, to boil up, seethe, or act proudly. Alehem, above them. See, I don't like this, above them. מכל אלוהים כי בדבר אשר זדו עליהם. Oh! Is this referring to all the other gods? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. It's
Maybe.
I mean, grammatically speaking, it could be, but what are the ramifications of that? We'd have to kind of parse that out.
According to the Stella, the kingdoms surrounding Israel, the kings of the kingdoms considered themselves to be gods. So they were kings of the universe. They called themselves kings of the universe.
Okay, sure.
So it makes sense in that context that those considering themselves to be gods. So that Elohim is not capital G or capital L.
Also remember from Exodus, or from the first part of Exodus, where God mocked the false gods of Egypt, I mean, like directly mentioning those false gods. It's like each one of the plagues was supposed to be a blow to each one of those Egyptian gods, like the god of the Nile, the god of the light. So I don't know. Possibility. All right, cool. Well, I think we've just about reached our time. Remember that we're going to take a break next week and the week after for Passover and Easter. So I won't see you next Sunday or the following Sunday, but I will on, what is it, April
The
27th.
27th.
There it is, April the 27th, and we'll get started with the Haftarah readings. So we'll start with the current Haftarah is going to be Haftarat Mitzorah, which is 2 Kings 7, actually. And it's a very well-known text for me. So 2 Kings 7 in 3 weeks. I hope to see you all then. Until then, continue being great and learning Hebrew. Lehitraot v'shalom.
Good.
Good. Y'all have a great holiday.
Hello.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Hag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.